Hey guys, so for my Hatsu project, I'm doing how to start a Boeing 777-200 LRX. It's a fairly simple but complex way of starting. It's the routine way of starting it, but it has a lot of buttons and switches that you gotta remember. But you do have checklists to go by in case you do forget, but pilots who are piloting this aircraft should remember. Anyway, so we have our ground power hooked up at the moment, and we are running our APU. Alright, so just finished starting up, so what we can do is we can go ahead and disconnect the secondary power, which is the GPU, ground power unit. So we can go ahead and disconnect that. Now what we're going to do, we are at the gate, but we're going to pretend like this is a test of the aircraft systems, and we're just going to go ahead and start up the aircraft right at the gate. So we're going to go up to the lower panel here. We're going to take a look. We have our nav logo and wing lights on, but to start we do need the beacon. That's just a rule of thumb. You put the beacon on, it shows other aircraft you're either starting up or taxiing, and it also shows the air traffic controllers that. So we have our dome and our storm lights on so we can see the panels. So first thing we do here, we have our APU starts on. Seatbelts on. We're going to figure out what that is. No? Okay. We are going to turn our our fuel pumps on. So this is supplying fuel to the engine now, and once we have the ISO valves open, which they are, that will supply the fuel in. So we're going to turn our trim air and our packs off, which are for the air conditioning system, and we're also going to turn our anti-ice and window heat switches off. The reason we turn all these systems off is because the APU can only generate so much power, and the engines, which are GE90 engines, take a lot of power to start up. And this is the same for any aircraft. So all of the non-essential equipment, like the anti-ice, window heats, engine generators, in terms of like bleed air, which is the bleed air switches, and any air conditioning systems get turned off, so the APU has more power to supply to the engine start switches. Now we're also going to turn off our hydraulic panel switches here. Go down here, and you're going to see the hydraulic pressure drops. This also lowers the electricity rate that it's using to keep that pressure, if that makes sense. So once that drops, we have our cutoff switches here, which are turned to cut off, which are not allowing fuel into the engine, so that's why our engines are shut down at the moment. So as you can see, the only thing we have that is not, a bad thing at the moment, which is yellow, we do have the passenger size and the APU running. What we are going to do is do an ECAS recall check. That takes out all of that, and that opens up a new page so we can see anything that's disappeared. So as you can see, if I do that again, the doors go away. Now they come back. I'm talking about the doors auto switch. It opens up a new page so we can see anything else that's on the recall list. Nothing else is there that we need to worry about, so we're just going to go ahead and run into the startup. So we're going to go up to the overhead panel here, and because everything is already set up, all of our switches are on and off that need to be on and off, we're just going to go ahead and hit engine 1, which is always on the left, and engine 2 is on the right. We're going to hit engine 1 to the start position, and we're just going to watch it spool up. And once it hits about 5.9 is when you would hit the fuel cutoff switch valve. I'm going to go ahead and hit it there. You're going to watch the engine slowly start to spool up. While that's starting, we can go ahead and push air into the right engine, number 2. That's the parking brake. I forgot that was not set because I didn't see that there. But the parking brake is always set when you fly the aircraft, or not fly it, but start the engines so that the powering up the engines doesn't suck you forward, which it could. Now you see he's starting up. We have these white boxes, so we can go back up here and we can start turning on the systems that we turned off and turning off the systems that we had to turn on. Nope, just turning on systems again. So the first thing we'll do is we'll turn on our pack switches for the air conditioning, as long as the trim air, and the right and left engine bleed air switches. We'll turn on our anti-ice to auto, so the aircraft will sense when it wants it and turn it on itself. Turn those on, and we'll turn our hydraulic pumps back on. So there's that. Everything's turned on. We're looking for no yellows. We're looking for a full run, and we are running fully. Normally in a situation like this, you'd be back on the taxiway, so you'd be looking to set the auto brake to RTO, which stands for rejected takeoff. The aircraft will slow the aircraft down itself. You're also going to set 15 degrees of flaps for takeoff. Then you're going to come up here, turn the APU off, keep the generator on, but the APU goes off, and turn off the storm lights and dome lights all the way off. And then there we are. That's how you start the aircraft, and the APU is slowly powered down. By the time you hit the runway, you should be good to go. The APU will be right off for you. And that's how you start the Boeing 777X, or not X, 200 LRX. Any questions, anyone can just shout one out, and I'll answer as best I can. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.